One of the biggest trade victories for the president is actually with Europe, Japanese, and Korean markets and American automobiles. Ohio now sits right there in the heart of America's auto building business, and we are joined now by Ohio Senator John Husted. So, Senator, too many people just focus on the tariff rates, the back and forth. I think his wins for the auto sector will be one of the most important for people in places in the Midwest, like Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's going to force more made in America, and you can't do made in America without made in Ohio, because we are really part of the supply chain for the auto industry, for the manufacturing sector. That's the heart of the industrial Midwest, and you're going to see a lot of success, a lot of new investments, a lot of new business and growing existing businesses as a result of some of these deals.
I want to shift to another issue that I know you're really trying to tackle for the president and for Americans: human trafficking. You and several colleagues introduced a bipartisan bill to improve the Department of Labor's ability to detect it so they can properly report it to law enforcement. Can you tell me more about this, and why is this so important to get passed?
Yeah, the open border crisis of the Biden years have led to hundreds of thousands of children, illegal immigrants coming into this country, and that leads to human trafficking. You can also throw in the fentanyl that came across the border, and then you have addiction, and all of that in a big, ugly package leads to human trafficking. And so what we're doing is educating the Department of Labor employees who go out and inspect manufacturing facilities, agricultural facilities, construction sites for signs of human trafficking. And if they see them, then we have a connection to then refer those to law enforcement to go in and make arrests and stop the heinous crimes that you see. I've done ride-alongs with police and children's services workers. When you see the just ugly situation that so many young people and children are put in through human trafficking, it breaks your heart. And we need to do more on the human trafficking front, and that's what we're trying to do in this legislation.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. Senator, I got to shift gears right now and go to that ugly brawl that took place in Cincinnati, your home state, obviously, last weekend. Several suspects in custody facing charges. A lot of folks are questioning city leadership for how they responded. We're even seeing the one local city councilor who celebrated the violence. I lived in Cincinnati for a couple of years, such a beautiful city, and this is such a tarnish on its reputation.
Yeah, Cincinnati is a great place, but this ugly incident and then the lack of leadership from local officials in addressing it have really been troubling. I have a message for them. If you don't protect people and their property, then people will no longer live in your city. They won't invest in your city. They won't visit your city. Ask San Francisco what happened when they did that. Cities across this country need to understand, you got to support this police. You got to support the rule of law. You got to protect people. If you don't, you're going to see people flee. That's not good for your economy. It's not good for any of the people that live in your city. They want law and order. They're craving law and order, and you got to deliver that if you're a mayor, a chief of police. But even the prosecutors who let people out on very little bail and put them back out there on the streets, all of them, part of that judicial system, that justice system, needs to work better in our cities, or we're going to see more of this.
Yeah, you just brought up so many good points, and you mentioned the prosecutors. I know one of the men now charged with that assault, he previously had assaulted someone, was let out on $400 bail, nothing, and then he was able to do this. And then you mentioned the mayor as well, and we know that the Cincinnati mayor is going to hold a news conference to give an update today. The problem with that is it's been an entire week, but he couldn't do it last week because he decided to take a vacation out of the country when all of this chaos was unfolding. What do you make of that?
Well, he hasn't provided leadership on the issue, but I want you to understand, and I want all your viewers to understand, the people who want the police are the people who live in these communities.
Yeah.
The people who don't have a voice, the people who oftentimes live middle class or near poverty lifestyles. They don't have private security. They don't live in gated communities. They need the police to be actively engaged in getting which is usually a small group of criminals arrested and put away to take the crime off their streets, the drugs, the theft, the violence. It's usually just a handful of people operating. The police need to protect those communities.
Yeah, and we've got about 30 seconds left, Senator. I can't avoid this opportunity to poke the bear. So we're 3 weeks away from the start of college football season. How do your Ohio State Buckeyes look, and are they ready for Georgia? Oh.
Well, you mean the defending national championship Ohio State Buckeyes, that team? Yeah, well, they'll be ready. They'll be ready. They're loaded with talent, and I'm confident they're going to have a great season. We'll find out when they face Texas. It'll be a great
Big opening
rematch.
game.
I hope some of my maybe I'll get a little bet with some of my Texas friends.
There you go. You and Senator Cruz could have a good bet on that. All right, Senator John Husted of Ohio, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.